Hello, and welcome to Family Folktales from the Nashville Public Library. I'm Susan Poulter, a librarian at the main library. Today's story is Jorinde and Joringel from Andrew Lang's Green Fairy Book. There was once upon a time a castle in the middle of a thick wood where lived an old woman quite alone, for she was an enchantress. In the daytime she changed herself into a cat or a night owl, but in the evening she became like an ordinary woman again. She could entice animals and birds to come to her, and then she would kill and cook them. If any youth came within 100 paces of the castle, he was obliged to stand still and could not stir from the spot till she set him free. But if a pretty girl came within this boundary, the old enchantress changed her into a bird and shut her up in a wicker cage, which she put in one of the rooms in the castle. She had quite 7,000 of such cages in the castle, with very rare birds in them. Now there was once a maiden called Jorinde, who was more beautiful than the other maidens. She and a youth named Joringel, who was just as good-looking as she was, were betrothed to one another. Their greatest delight was to be together, and so that they might take a good long walk, they went one evening for a walk in the wood. "Take care," said Joringel, "not to come too close to the castle." It was a beautiful evening. The sun shone brightly between the stems of the trees among the dark green leaves of the forest, and the turtle-dove sang clearly on the old may-bushes. Jorinde wept from time to time, and she sat herself down in the sunshine and lamented, and Joringel lamented too. They felt as sad as if they had been condemned to die. They looked round and got quite confused and did not remember which way was their way home. Half the sun was still above the mountain, and half was behind it, when Joringel looked through the trees and saw the old wall of the castle quite near them. He was terrified and half dead with fright. Jorinde sang, "My little bird with throat so red sings sorrow, sorrow, sorrow. He sings to the little dove that's dead, sings sorrow, jug, jug, jug." Joringel looked up at Jorinde. She had been changed into a nightingale who was singing jug, jug. A night owl with glowing eyes flew 3 times round her and screeched 3 times, "To-wit, to-wit, to-woo." Joringel could not stir. He stood there like a stone. He could not weep or speak or move hand or foot. Now the sun set. The owl flew into a bush, and immediately an old bent woman came out of it. She was yellow-skinned and thin, and had large red eyes and a hooked nose which met her chin. She muttered to herself, caught the nightingale, and carried her away in her hand. Joringel could say nothing. He could not move from the spot, and the nightingale was gone. At last the woman came back again and said in a gruff voice, "Good evening, Zakiel. When the young moon shines in the basket, you are freed early, Zakiel." Then Joringel was free. He fell on his knees before the old woman and implored her to give him back his Jorinde, but she said he should never have her again, and then went away. He called after her. He wept and lamented, but all in vain. "What is to become of me?" he thought. Then he went away and came at last to a strange village, where he kept sheep for a long time. He often went round the castle while he was there, but never too close. At last he dreamt one night that he had found a blood-red flower, which had in its center a beautiful large pearl. He plucked this flower and went with it to the castle, and there everything he touched with the flower was freed from the enchantment, and he got his Jorinde back again through it. When he awoke in the morning, he began to seek mountain and valley to find such a flower. He sought it for 8 days, and on the 9th, early in the morning, he found the blood-red flower. In its center was a large dewdrop, as big as the most lovely pearl. He traveled day and night with this flower till he arrived at the castle. When he came within 100 paces of it, he did not cease to be able to move, but he went on till he reached the gate. He was delighted at his success, touched the great gate with a flower, and it sprung open. He entered, passed through the courtyard, and then stopped to listen for the singing of the birds. At last he heard it. He went in and found the hall in which was the enchantress and her 7,000 birds in their wicker cages. When she saw Joringel, she was furious and breathed out poison and gall at him, but she could not move a step towards him. He took no notice of her, and went and looked over the cages of birds, but there were many hundred nightingales, and how was he to find his Jorinde from among them? Whilst he was considering, he observed the old witch take up a cage secretly and go with it towards the door. Instantly he sprang after her, touched the cage with the flower, and the old woman as well. Now she could no longer work enchantments, and there stood Jorinde before him, with her arms round his neck, and more beautiful than ever. Then he turned all the other birds again into maidens, and he went home with his Jorinde, and they lived a long and happy life. That was Jorinde and Joringel from Andrew Lang's Green Fairy Book. Special thanks to Ginger Sands for our theme music. You can find more of Ginger's music at iTunes or on her website at www.gingersands.com. And if you'd like to comment on today's story, send me an email. I can be reached at susan.poulter, that's Poulter, @nashville.gov. Thanks for listening.